So this week is about Power Platform within Microsoft 365. So this one is a bit of an overview, really. It's not a lot of technical specifics. It's more around just an overview of each of the products within the Power Platform. A short history. There's not much use in going back too much, but yeah, we'll just a short history of Power Platform. And then we'll do an introduction and an overview of the PowerApps and Power BI. Those two tend to live together for us. And then we'll do an introduction and overview of Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents as well. So I have to admit, the Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents are not so detailed in my slide deck. I run out of time, unfortunately. I probably put a bit too much effort into Power Apps and Power BI because I think that's what excites me most, if I'm honest. Yeah, so we'll just go through all that and we'll do any other business in a Q&A. And just as I said, it's quite a high level introduction today. It's not about the detail, about the how. It's about the what they can do and what the value of the tools is for each of the products in the Power Platform itself. But as number one on the slide, let's do introductions first. So my name is Joel Markham. I'm the CEO and founder of iCoTech Services. So I started my career back many years ago in the PMO team in Duke Welsh Water. I then went on to Lloyds Bank Group and spent a short period of time actually doing a project management role. And then I moved into Babcock International Group as a program manager and ended up being a portfolio manager and ended up landing the head of projects and governance job for Babcock International Group, which is pretty cool. So I left Babcock and then joined Companies House as a contractor, and that's really the first customer of iCoTech was Companies House. So iCoTech is now a Microsoft partner, and we deliver a number of different services and products all within Microsoft 365. But we deliver to the likes of Bays, Office for National Statistics, ACAS, and Intellectual Property Office as well. I keep forgetting to update this slide because there's a lot more customers on here now. So I need to update this, but these are some of our key ones that we're really proud of working with. So the way in which we work in iCoTech is quite unique. So we like to use the best tools and the best systems. So we're always using Azure DevOps and Teams and all the services that we're going to talk about today. We use them internally to run our business and to operate. We're always collecting good ideas and always researching and trying to find good information and bringing that to the community and to you guys here in webinar and events like this. We're always researching, trying to break things. My team kick off when I say, when somebody says it doesn't work. I think there's a kind of running joke in the office now which says that don't say to Joel it doesn't work or it can't work, because we'll fix it and we'll try and make it happen. But so in that sense, we're always researching and innovating as well. And we hire the best people. So we've got the best people. We're always collaborating with our partners, with our customers, with Microsoft, with the whole ecosystem. We're collaborating at all times. And we love sharing. We love sharing the knowledge we've got. So where applicable, we like to learn, of course, and then share that back into the community. Hence why we do these webinars every week. And part of that is relationship and networking as well. So we just like to meet new people. All that for us is delivering value at pace. It's something that we operate within. We take pride in delivering value at pace to our customers. Our offering is really split into four sections, really: solutions, products, consulting, and services. Solutions is really building specific applications to meet a specific requirement. So they're normally kind of big chunks of work and development days to build something within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. Products are predefined applications that you could buy off us. So iCoplan is one of them. A simple project management solution is our take on what we think a suitable product is to meet a business process, and they're SaaS model products as well. So just pay per seat type stuff. And then we've got services, which is support. So support services, really making sure that we're on hand, especially when we build these big solutions for our customers. They want us on hand just to help them support if they want to make a change, or if they've broken something, or if their business requirement changes. We're on hand to support them, and we've got standard kind of support contracts in there as well. And then consulting really goes around everything that we do. So we like to think we're experts in digital transformation, and we like really helping businesses achieve the benefits they've outlined at the start of the journey with us. So whether that's training, whether that's business change, whether that's just helping them to realize their vision, that all goes into consulting. So yeah, that's what we do. As we're a Microsoft Gold partner, we specialize in Project Online, PowerApps, Power BI, and Dynamics 365. Hence why we're hopefully best placed to come and share with you some of the information we've got available today on the Power Platform. But of course, being Microsoft 365 partners, we have to have expertise in OneDrive, Power Automate, Teams, SharePoint, Exchange Online, all those other services as well. But really what we do best is Project Online, Project for the Web, Power Apps, Power BI, and Dynamics 365. That's what we're really, really good at. So that leads us on today really. So today's event is the Power Platform, so the introduction to the Power Platform. And yeah, we're just going to go through a little bit of a slide deck and just share with you the Power Platform. So this statement, right, it says the Power Apps will dramatically accelerate how business apps are built, reducing time to solution from weeks to months to minutes, right, and empowering a new category of app creators. It balances power between IT and business users, right, arming those closest to the business needs with tools and services, not just, you can read it. But it basically is about empowering business users to build applications. And it was a vision that was actually created in 2015 or publicized in 2015 by a guy called Bill Staples, who was the application platform lead at Microsoft. All right, so 2015 was the kind of announcement of the Power Apps. For me, I think that's really important because really, all the businesses that we work with, and I mean all of them, all the customers we work with, are not using the Power Platform to its full capability. So 6 years later, we're sitting here, we're not using the Power Platform as Bill envisaged. And there's a number of reasons why that is. Won't go into that today, but it's interesting to note that this was a vision many years ago, and it really is about, and the vision still stands true today, it's about arming those business users with the capability to go and build technology solutions without having to bother IT, without having to wait months or weeks or years. They can go off and build a CRM system or a finance system, and you might think, wow, that's quite intense and quite a vision, and quite an achievement. But you go away and build systems now in Excel. Many of you will use Excel and do VLOOKUPs and if statements and sums, and you'll build quite business critical systems in Excel. Probably in 3 years' time, I hope to be a catalyst to make in people like yourselves utilize the Power Platform to do those type of things, building apps yourself to replace your Excel spreadsheet. That's my hope. But yeah, in summary, their line of business applications, some people call it line of business applications, business intelligence services and app connectivity software applications. That's really what the Power Platform is in those three chunks. But it's all, the critical bit here is all using low code. So it's the PowerFX low code programming language. I didn't actually know that until a couple of weeks ago when I researched it. But yeah, it's just the low code, no code approach from Microsoft. So it's saying that you don't have to actually write, JavaScript, HTML, or whatever, Python, SQL. You don't have to do any of that. It's giving you a user interface that any user who understands the logic behind it can use to build these services. The next best thing is really it's available with Office 365. So anybody who's got a £5 a month Office 365 license has access to these services. Obviously, you have to bolt on as you go up the ladder and usability and those type of things. But it's there. You have access to it. A lot of people don't even realize it is there, which is crazy, isn't it? But yeah, it does. Non-IT users building business critical solutions. I kind of toyed with the word critical. I didn't want it to sound negative, but critical in the fact that they're really valuable, really important, and really vital to the success of a business. Having a CRM system like Dynamics 365, which is massive, is a huge system, really complicated. This is a solution that's used by organizations that are in different time zones and different currencies and have different laws and different employment regulations in different working weeks. So it's a massive system that allows organizations to operate, selling assets or selling services or selling commodity items, whatever it might be. Now, being able to go into that system very quickly as a non-developer like myself, I can configure that system myself. And that is another level. SAP days 10 years ago, it was thousands of pounds and weeks of effort and going to cab after cab, change authority board, and TDA after TDA, and just to get a change through the system. And the technical work was so expensive. It was just difficult. And those big systems really lost the value for me when I was experiencing that anyway, back in the day. So this is going to change that for everybody. It's going to make end users be able to make a certain number of changes very quickly. And it's all based on the dataverse as well. So data is easily shared within reason if you want it to be. You know, obviously you've got controls and the ability to control things, but if you want it to be an open area, an open tool, an open service, you can actually have everybody sharing the data on the same platform, which is really, really cool. And I'll come on to discussing that in a bit more later on. Okie dokie. So the next slide. So what is it? So the Power Platform is really broken down into 4 key applications. So there's Power BI, PowerApps, and Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents. All right. So they're the 4 key applications within the Power Platform. They all have access to data connectors. So you can connect data through all of them. It's the whole point of them is to connect them together, use them in little bits to go and create your service or create your application. They all use AI builders, so they all have the ability to use artificial intelligence resources and do some level of predictive analytics and workflow optimization based on data that's held within the system. And they're all based on the common data service, which is now called the Dataverse. Again, another slide that I need to change. But yeah, so they're the applications, and that's what we talk about being the Power Platform. Now, the complicated thing, and I forgot to add the slide in, but I've just realized I've talked about Dynamics, is that Dynamics 365 also sits on the Power Platform. So it's not here directly, but I would almost put a big blob at the top here if I could have, is to put Dynamics 365 sits up there. You can use Dynamics 365, you know, with a fringe Power App, with a Power BI data report, or with Power Automate, you know, doing some workflow optimization or workflow engine for processing records from one stage to the other. And then you can use virtual agents with the Dynamics 365 suite as well. So yeah, it's one of the things to think about. If you're in that ERP space, then these applications are available and on the same common data service or dataverse as Dynamics 365. Cool. So let's jump on to the next slide. There we go. So let's jump into Power BI first. Let's do the data visualization one first. So Power BI is really about releasing the value of your data. So connecting your reporting services to a number of different data sources. Really, if you're going to point your data to one version, one data source, you may as well just, I don't know, use a pivot table. If you've got an Excel spreadsheet, you're doing everything in there, then that's not really where Power BI is meant to be used. Power BI is meant to be used for multi-repository databases, and so taking an Excel spreadsheet, taking your kind of a SharePoint list, and then taking some data out of Dynamics 365 or Oracle or SAP or whatever you want, or your Xero account, for example, if you're using Xero to run your business. Take those feeds from every place and stick them into a reporting cube that's done without you even realizing it, and then you're able to interrogate and draw conclusions from that data. So you're able then to make some nice pie charts that are interactable. You can click on them, you can filter them, you can merge the data, you can append it, you can do loads of things with the data to understand and to learn from that data. So one of the things to realize though is there's a couple of different component parts to Power BI. Now, I'm going to be honest, this changes quicker than I can keep up with it. And I'm not 100% sure this is still right, but I'm 90% sure this is still right. But really, there's 3 core elements, all right? So there's Windows desktop application called Power BI Desktop. There's the online service called Power BI Service, which is if you went to your office.com, clicked on the waffle at the top left, you'd see Power BI. That's the online service, and then you've got Power BI as a mobile application, so you can have it on your Windows phone, your iOS phone, or your Android device as well. And that is really cool. If you don't have that on your phone at the moment, but you're using Power BI, I encourage you to go and download that. It's often quite interesting when you're thinking of something over food, if you're like me and you're working all the time and you want to go and analyze your data and quickly pick up kind of a heat map of whatever it is you want to do. To have it on your phone is quite useful. So But beyond that, there are also other services in Power BI. There's the Power BI report builder. So that's paginated reports. So kind of creating an invoice or a quote, based on an event happening. You can create that in Power BI. And then you've got the Power BI reporter service. That's on-premise server that is basically used to publish your reports, to not have them through an external gateway on the cloud effectively. So if you've got some quite sensitive data and you want to keep it within your physical infrastructure, a Power BI reporting server could be used to do that. So that's really the landscape of the parts of Power BI. The Power BI apps is interesting to note. If you're using Power BI, you can create apps, and I wish they maybe call it something different, because an app to me is something you interact with and you add data information into it. This is a bit different. This is about containing all the reports into a polished window, effectively a polished product, and I'll show you one in a second. But this is really about taking lots of different reports that you create and putting them into one app. You might have the HR app or the IT spend analysis app, for example. At iCoTech, we've just got the iCoTech app because we're a smaller business, obviously. But it's a place to go and contain all your reports and dashboards into one place. That's much more professional, it's much more simple, and it's more used for like your senior stakeholders. So, imagine where we see it working quite well is that if a project board would normally have like a pack of data, like PDF files. Well, this is about being able to say that there's a portfolio board app, and they click on that, and every month it gets updated with the latest data and latest information. So they're cool. So I encourage you to go and have a look at those. Workspaces. So this is on the cloud version now. So you create a workspace. It's like a group, and you're able to understand or to give access to people to go and update as a member, read only, or actually don't give it to anybody. It's a private workspace, but it's where you're able to bring in those data sources and stitch them together, build your queries, and then build your reports in that workspace. So you might have a project team workspace, but that's kind of how they're used, really. So I thought I was going to leave a demo to the end, but I'm swapping and changing my mind. I just want to flash over Power BI very quickly, just because I've just gone through it there, and then we'll do the same with PowerApps and go through it like that, if that's okay. So workspaces are here. This is a demo environment, and I have to be honest, this isn't a really polished demo per se. This is just me flying around the app and just talking through what I was referring to earlier. So these are some of the data sets that we're bringing in here. So this is an operations analytics data set, and there's a kind of consumer website traffic data set. Now, these could, in theory, be, for multiple websites as well. So if you had like one brand and you wanted to bring in data, and another brand you want to bring in data, that's how you'd use these there. Then you have reports. So reports are like the pages of a report, and they're tabular, and you can see they're going from top to bottom here on the left hand side. So, and these are the type of reports that you can go and create. You can apply some filters here on the right hand side, or you can apply filters on the page. These are filters on the page. So this is saying, give me the Asia region statistics, give me the European region statistics, and services like being able to click on France there, and everything changes very quickly and dynamically. That's the whole point of Power BI. All these tiles are now updating because I'm going to click on Italy here. Yeah, so it's 596 visits to the website from users in Italy. All right, so that's the kind of the way in which this is designed to be used. This is a report, and what you can do though is you can go up to a dashboard level. All right, so I'm going to click on my workspace again. These are dashboards. This is taking different report parts or segments. Oh, that's a bad example. From okay, it's a really bad example, but they're basically like the higher level than reports. Okay, and then apps is typical. Don't have any apps yet, but you can create an app here. You can use a kind of project online one. You can even create your own one as well. So you can create an app that is basically containing that data into one service. The other thing that's quite cool with these is goals. So I didn't talk about it in the slide deck, but we're starting to get to use these now, but they're almost like KPI scorecards. And we can have a sales one here, for example. And these are, rather than creating a report, it's creating a KPI that you can use in multiple different reports. So it's next level. But if you had a standard KPI across your business, achieve monthly revenue of $500,000, underneath that KPI, you've got the 3 sub KPIs. And then you're able to track over time how this is progressing, the trend. You can see that one's a completed KPI, but you can see it's tailing off here. So this is really, really cool stuff. And you can see you've got 15 goals, 7 on track, and 3 are behind, and 1's at risk. But imagine being able to use that on a wallboard now in Power BI, or be able to use that KPI in another reference, in another report within the system. That's pretty cool. And data sets, I'll come on to that later on, because we do that in PowerApps. But yeah, so that's just a whistle stop tour of Power BI. If you're not using it, don't be put off by it. I mean, it does look overwhelming, and I remember the first time I ever got onto Power BI, and I thought, wow, that's complex. Cool, and I can see the value, but complex. But there are some easy ways to create tables. You can just literally click on like a spreadsheet and you can create your data set here, super easy. Or you can click on get data again and just go to like databases or my organization. Just click through it. Fail a few times. It's brilliant when you get there. It's really, really cool. But the other thing I would say as well is, if you're new to Power BI, download the desktop version. So download Power BI desktop. It gives you a bit more at the moment, and it's just a bit easier to navigate for me, in my experience. So yeah, that's Power BI. I'm just going to go back to my slide and make sure I can. Here we go. Look at that transition back into Power BI. So, any questions on any of that as well? If there are any questions, please do raise your hand in the chat window, or put the question into the chat box, and I'll do my best to answer it. If I don't know it, which sometimes happens, I'll refer to my technical team and come back to you at a later date. Okay, let's just go to the next slide then. So, PowerApps. So, these are business applications, which again you could build pretty quickly, if not instantly. All right, this is about analyzing data, automating data, scheduling activities, phone calls, emails, and all no code, and all using different form factors and creating different views. So, but this is the kind of gets a bit more complicated now. Power BI is just Power BI, and you've got a couple of ways of using it. But PowerApps, you've got 3 or 4 different options, which I'll come on to in a minute. But effectively, it's a suite of services, a suite of applications that you can pull and push data from within your 365 Dataverse, or from other third-party products as well. All right, so it's about, if you had a spreadsheet for a project tracker, you could use PowerApps to do that. If you had a SharePoint list for lessons learned, you could use a PowerApps for doing that. And then if you wanted to tag all your lessons learned from your projects into your projects tracker, you could do that in PowerApps as well. So, building business services in PowerApps is really what it's meant for, really. But because it's quite broad, there's 3 core types of PowerApps. You've got a Canvas app, you've got a portal app, and a model-driven app. Okay, so a Canvas app is really a phone or tablet form factor. So it's a graphical interface, and it's really good for complex functionality, so complex user journeys that may be a bit overwhelming in a model-driven app. A portal is an external facing website. It could also be used internally, to be fair, but it's about creating that website look and feel. Go onto a browser, you can surface external reports, add data into it, but it's more about the kind of buttonage of a website. Then you've got a model-driven app, which is a systematic form factor. So it's like a big system, lots of records, lots of views, lots of places to go, and not so aesthetically pleasing. But it is still very, very, very powerful nonetheless. Yes, the portal, John. Thank you for your question, and you are right. The Power Apps portal does need an extra license. It is actually quite attractive in some use cases, John, because if, say, for example, you've got a Power App for, I don't know, a customer, a business, and you allow your customers to come and fill out a form or see where their invoice is in the process. Well, actually, the last time I checked, and I will caveat with that, the last time I checked, it was £200 per month for the PowerApps portal, and depending on how many transactions you had, but it can be more cost effective to license it to a mass number of people than a per app license in PowerApps. I have to admit that was probably 4 or 5 months ago now since I've checked that, but I'm pretty sure that is the case. There is a step up after a certain amount of users as well, but it's a really good service. And again, if you're if you've got thousands of users, a portal is normally where most of our customers will go. Hundreds of users, you kind of keep with a Canvas app really. And to bloody confuse it again, sorry, is you can put Canvas apps and model-driven apps in portals. Gets all complicated, but yeah, Canvas apps. Let's go back to maybe follow my spreadsheet, my slideshow. Canvas apps are these, blank canvas, basically. Essentially, what it says is Canvas app. It's a blank canvas that you can put, toggles. You could put maps, images, forms, and you can use it on a tablet, a mobile. You wouldn't really use it on a desktop, laptop, or a desktop or a laptop. It's just not really what it's used for. But it's intuitive and it's totally customizable. If you want that text there red and bigger, of course, text equals red and bigger. If you want a big whopping great big new button on the bottom top left there, that flashes purple, no problem, we could do that. It's that kind of level of design and graphical freedom really. Then next in line, you've got the model driven apps, and you can see here they're distinctly different. You've got records, you've got processes, you've got tabs, forms, and this is where you've got hundreds and thousands of records, 400 projects, 20,000 risks, whatever it may be. You don't put that in a Canvas app, you put that in here because it's easy to filter, to sort. It gives you that structure of a system. But then the downside is if you want that new button pink and flashing, can't happen. If you want to change the way this kind of looks and feels, can't really happen. You could change the data, you could change the fields, you could change the forms, you could change the views, you could change all the pie charts, you could change this little dial, you could do all that kind of stuff, but you can't change the way it fundamentally looks as the structure there. So that's the downside, but positives of model driven apps. And then portals. So as John said, these are websites. Again, you can still use them on a mobile device, but it's a website form factor. You can log in using some quite cool authentication techniques, actually. So you can use your LinkedIn account to authenticate into a Power App portal or a Microsoft account as well. I think you can use Facebook as well. So that is really cool to use, especially if you're engaging with lots of customers and you're trying to send them documents or get them to fill out forms or interact with your business and your community and your offering. But it's very much about creating, in the same style, low code, no code website development in that kind of structure, all on the Dataverse as well, which is pretty cool. The other thing I just wanted to let you know, because we've been testing these actually recently, and there's been some developments from Microsoft very recently, which is data flows. So data flows are the best thing since sliced bread, in my opinion. So this is about taking in your Power App environment, you can take data now using data feeds, data connectors from different services and bring them into your environment. So Power BI used to do that quite well, and you could do it with Power Automate. But bringing a set of data into one, I guess, location through a series of data flows is quite cool. And that is, so do some research on data flows. If you've got like Zero or Sage, and you've got like an ideas system over here, you've got an Excel spreadsheet, and you've got lots of disparate systems across your organization, data flows would definitely help you connect all that into one place, store all the data in Power Apps, and then start learning from that as well, or at least see how much data you've got, which is quite cool. And they can refresh overnight as well. So we've got ours refreshing every morning now. It takes data from Project Online and puts it into the Power Platform, and we could do other things with it then. And that just happens automatically overnight. So that's something to go and encourage you to go and have a look at. It's pretty cool. Power Automate. So and again at the start of this call, I didn't show you that. I knew I'd do that. Let me go and show you PowerApps, and let me minimize this this spreadsheet. Here we go. Cool. So PowerApps. So if you go to your office.com and you can find PowerApps, click on all apps and go to PowerApps here. You'll see it looks quite similar to the Power BI, doesn't it? In terms of the user interface and the services there. Again, it's very much, if you read this, it will literally take you through the step-by-step process, and you can start from the data, which is a kind of good way of doing it. If you want to point it at one data source, an Excel spreadsheet, or you want to point at a SharePoint list you've already got, you can use Business Central connectors, Dropbox. I mean, the world's your oyster, really is with stuff. If you've got a file stored on OneDrive, you can put it here. Salesforce. I mean, it's not just Microsoft technology here. It's everything you could really think of connecting to. Amazon is really an open service to go and build these applications from. All right. The one to start off simply, if you want, is SharePoint. You can actually connect directly to SharePoint. And then what you can do as well is connect to lists that already exist within SharePoint as well. So I've got the Mark 8 project team, and we've got design ideas as a list. I'm going to connect to that now, and I'm basically saying, give me all the data that's in that list, because I'm going to go and do something with it. I'm going to go and create an app that allows me to take this design idea through a process. All right, so this is literally just me off the fly here, just going through how you would these are the records in the list. So if you click on one of these now, it'll when you publish it, it'll go down into that record and surface that information for you. And then you save the app, publish it to your app store, and you'd be able to download it on your phone and be able to interact with that app using your phone. All right. I think you can play it as well up here. So you press the play button. This is like, imagine, I know it's massive, but imagine this was on your phone. You're now actually interacting with the list or the records that are in the list itself. And I can go and create a new one here. All right. And if I went and filled in that form, attaching a file from your phone, whatever it might be, you will then create that record in the SharePoint list called Design Ideas. All right, so that's a Canvas app. I know it's a whistle stop, but I can go on for ages on this stuff, I promise you. But don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Here we go. Phew, I was worried my computer just frozen. Had that horrible feeling. So I've clicked on something random. So make.PowerApps, and then what you could do is go to create. And here you've got your 3. So that naturally just created a Canvas app for me very quickly there. But you could create a model-driven app or a portal as well. Really as simple as clicking on these then and going through the processes. You've got some templates, which I encourage you to go and have a look at. For me, a model-driven app is a lot easier to modify than a Canvas app. It's controversial, I know. But if you're used to using Excel, I think you could probably get into the kind of model-driven apps quite quickly. You also have your connections here as well to other services. So you connect us to Power BI, SharePoint, which is the one I just created 2 minutes ago, and Teams, of course. But effectively, I can't create a new environment because this is a demo environment, but effectively you've got tables here. So all the data that is in this system has a set of tables, just like a tab on Excel, and you're able to go and create those tables, create relationships, and that kind of thing. I said earlier on that every service here has AI. Here's the AI model. So you can go and build your AI model in here if you had a database. It does take a while, so I won't do it. And Microsoft probably shout at me for doing too much in here. But I did just create another test Canvas app a few moments ago before the session. And literally, this is just me just dragging a date field on here to show you how easy it is to go and edit these things. So edit, you can edit your Canvas app, and you can drag date fields in, forms, do all your logic in here as well. I'm just conscious of time, and I notice I am kind of waffling and moving around a little bit, so apologies for that. But here, if you press the plus button, you can add in text labels, change that to demo, you can do this here. You're dragging and dropping them. So this might be, for this a more pertinent example, this date created or date raised or whatever it might be. Yeah, and you can make it bold. You can do all your kind of customizations. So it doesn't look like a lot here, but give it 4 or 5 kind of hours of developing these things, dragging and dropping buttons and that kind of thing, you can create quite a useful little canvas little form to submit an action, etc., etc. Okay, so the next one is Power Automate. So Power Automate is really about workflow. It really is about taking data, taking records from one stage to the other. It really is about optimizing the way in which you can share data. If you wanted to integrate with a third-party product, you can pull those using the data connectors. If you wanted to send a holiday request to a manager, you could do that in Power Automate. You could do it around all the other services as well. So like a portal, you sign onto a portal, Power Automate would fire an authentication request, in the background. It really is about using them all together. And it's the Power Automate on its own is powerful, but when you combine it with PowerApps and Power BI, you can really create some quite comprehensive solutions. So I've opened up Power Automate. Again, you just go to the waffle here on the top left-hand side. He says, is it gonna? Yeah, okay, it's gonna shout at me. There we go. It's just loading again. And you go to just Power Automate. And you land on this page here. You can start from templates. Search all the templates, and you can pick one that you could use here. I found one earlier. It was actually quite cool. It was how do I do Power BI? It was a Power BI one. I was literally looking earlier on for this session, and you can create a flow will fire based on a Power BI data set. So if Power BI, say the KPI in Power BI goes red, one of those KPIs we saw earlier, you could create a flow that would say fire an email to the department director to say that their KPI is now red, that kind of thing. And you can see the level of kind of templates here. We've got post adaptive card teams when alert is triggered in Power BI. So if an alert is in Power BI saying, you've gone over your KPI threshold, you're red, you could post an adaptive card into a Teams channel. And you can start with these type of services, and they really, really are quite powerful. It takes a lot of time. Like I couldn't build it now here. It'd have to trial and error for me personally as an individual, not being a through and through developer. Like that scares me. But with a little bit of a help in hand going through here, and a little bit of help from Google and your friends, you can do it. You can build these things. So yeah, you've got templates, you've got connectors. We talked about earlier. Like the amount of connectors is unreal. How many times you can integrate and connect these services. You got Twitter, you got SharePoint, of course. You'd expect that. A Dropbox and Google Drive as well. YouTube. I mean, if somebody comments on a YouTube post, you could bring that into your CRM tool using Power Automate, which I just think is fantastic. Amazon services. Data lakes. I mean, these things go on for ages, so you can really do some clever stuff with this tool. Okay. So you've got different types of flows as well. You have got cloud flows, and then you've got desktop flows, and then you've got kind of machine learning flows as well. So I won't go into all that today, just because I'm conscious of time. But you can get very, very lost in these type of flows. But robotic process automation is in there as well, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to kind of give you a whistle stop. I know I'm flying around. Apologies if I'm going too quickly, but I just wanted to show you a little bit of everything, really. So that's Power Automate. I'm just going to go onto here. Right, sorry. So virtual agents is the last one, the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle. So we've talked about Power BI, we've talked about PowerApps and what they are and kind of how you use them in a summary, and then Power Automate being the workflow automation process as well, the process engine, and then you've got virtual agents is the last one. I will apologise in advance, as I said earlier, I haven't put as much time into this because I ran out of time in the preparation of these slides. But the Power Virtual Agents, I would say they're least used across the Power Platform, and fairly so. They should really be used more, and I believe they will do over the next couple of years as well. We're seeing a lot more interest in them from iCoTech side as well, our customer base. But this is basically about creating pop-ups, having chatbot windows come up and automatically route you down a kind of a journey, and automatically populating certain language or certain responses, to these services, these questions, and it's all based on AI, and it's all giving you a low-code, no-code approach to quickly create these bots in a graphical interface, taking a step-by-step approach, and being able to use the entities you've got in your system as well in Power Platform. You really can just go through the system step by step and create these chatbots for you. It's all within 365 again, so if you've got a portal, a PowerApps portal, and you want to put a chat agent or chat bot onto that service, you can do. And then just to show you that, just to complete that piece, I will show you virtually. So again, virtual agents, it's a bit difficult, this one, to find. If you go back to PowerApps, and if you were to watch this back on the recording, or follow me if you can, you need to go into the AI builder section here, and or chatbot section here, sorry, and you can create your chatbots from here. It's a little bit difficult to find. I always, that's my excuse anyway. But effectively, you can create a new chatbot, a test chatbot. It's going to be in English UK, not English US, but no. Doesn't matter. But we can create that now, and it is a step-by-step process. I mean, I would say you'd really have to be a kind of an expert in chatbots or understand the journey of web interactions to build one of these proficiently. If I'm honest, technically building one is quite easy, but I mean, you have to understand the processes that it goes down, etc. But I would say that if you've got a website, come and speak to somebody who's got some experience and do these type of things. So you can just quick start. You can actually just go through all this learning as well, which is quite cool. I'm not going to go into too much detail because you literally we could be here for a long time, and I could get myself in a pickle with all the detail on these things. But they are really good for simple kind of landing pages. We're going to have one on iCoTech very shortly, where if you land on the iCoTech website, it'll just pop up and say, hey, is there anything I can help you with? And once you add that, it'll just send an email out to everybody who's on active on Teams at that time to say, this person's landed on the website, this is their question. First person to respond to it, go and respond to it, and go and engage in dialogue with them, have a conversation. The idea is that they in the future, they'd ask, hi, I'd like to know how PowerApps works, please. And it'll just go through a sequence of saying, here's our guide on it, here's our YouTube video on it, here's, all the reference you want in the world, for that service. So yeah, it is, that's the vision of the Power Virtual Agents in the future. And that's what it's for, really. So I've covered Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. I'm 45 minutes in. I've got one more part left to discuss with you. I'll show you. But are there any questions from anybody across the call at all? Please do feel free to raise your hand on Teams, and I'll come to you, and you can ask your question. Or if you did have a question, put it in the chat window, and I'll be more than happy to answer that. As I say, if I can't answer it, then I'll take a note and I'll get back to you. Is there any questions at all? The best resources for learning it, other than just doing it, I know it's a silly answer, but other than just having a go, Martin, at PowerApps, I would say that's the best thing to do. There are learning services, so I think there is a PowerApps Learning. I think there is. Oh, I'm in my browser. Sorry. Let me just try and find this, Martin. Thanks for the question. So I think PowerApps Learning Pathway. So you can go into these type of things, and you can actually do courses on them, Martin. You can do here we go. So an introduction to Power Apps, 4 minutes long, and you can take the Get Started with Power Apps canvas. And I tell you what, I'll use Teams, and I'll even chuck it in the chat window for you. So Look at that, teams working. So yeah, you can go through these steps, create your first app in PowerApps. Yeah, so great YouTube stuff. Hopefully iCoTech is in there as well, John, because there's lots of websites on, lots of videos we've produced on these type of things as well. Yeah, you can look at this content, Martin, or you can follow iCoTech on YouTube or subscribe to us, and there are some other videos there of that as well. And thanks, John. And virtual agents, I just have a go at it. I really would have a go at it, and just I'm one of the ones for just opening up a bottle of red wine and just having a go and getting on with it, and kind of burying my head in it and just googling it. It really is. If you understand it, you can find your way really. But Martin or anybody else on the call, if you've got any problems, just email us at info@icotechservices.co.uk. Literally, like Chris and the team, they jump on half-an-hour calls with a number of people every week. Just no cost, just this is how they've got a specific question and we can help them and block them, then that's our value really. So no problem in doing that. So yeah, thank you for the question, and if there are any more, please do put them in the chat window. The one thing I would like to just say then is just that we do have a Power Platform as a service offering here at iCoTech. So if you did see a lot of value and a lot of use of these type of technologies, and you had nowhere to go, didn't really understand how to build them, or you wanted to do something more quicker than say you could do it yourself, then we do have Power Platform as a service. And for us, that really is about strategic planning, the application development, and the support and iteration of those services as well. There's a lot of control that goes into them. I know it doesn't look like it, but you've got data loss prevention policies, you've got environments. Once you start using this stuff, you can get yourself into a little bit of a kind of a sticky position. So we offer Power Platform as a service, which is just an enduring kind of partnership approach to help you realize the value of the Power Platform. Really, we break it down into that strategic planning, application development, support and iteration, and control and management, those type of things. But it's really about just getting you using the Power Platform. So it's a longer term relationship, understand where you're trying to go as a business, no upfront cost, and it's just a capability here we have at iCoTech that we build these services on a large scale. So we'd like to offer that to you guys as well. So if you're stuck, give us a call, contact us at info@icotechservices.co.uk, and go from there. Cool. So yeah, thank you for that. If that's it from me, really, I do appreciate you joining us, and hope you're all okay and not as hot as I am, because I tell you what, down in South Wales today it's 31 degrees. And I've never been so hot in my life. So and I'm quite proud of myself for doing 50 minutes of a webinar in the baking heat. So I'm gonna go and open a beer and chill out and relax and enjoy my evening. I encourage you guys to do the same. Thank you very much for joining. Please do follow us on YouTube, on Facebook. As I say, do email us at info@, and yeah, hope you found some value in a very brief overview. If you need to drop down some detail on any of those products, please do just subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can see some specific contents on Power BI, PowerApps, and Power Automate as well. And also pick up the phone and give us a call. More than happy to help at any point in time. Thank you so much for your questions, Martin and John. Thanks for your engagement, everybody, and please do stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Cheers.